Welcome back on this Monday morning to video number 2. We've heard rumors that Harry wanted to go home, but now articles are coming out. Stuff is in the works. Let's jump in and cover it, shall we? Let's go. To start with, we heard that Harry was going to go to New York and he's going to, do all these different things. And William was supposed to be there at the same time, but then, or so he thought. Well, then come to find out, William was not going to be there. He didn't attend the Earthshot Prize meeting. I believe it was the year before last either. So then we found out that Harry, at the last minute, decided to join his brother it was not the funeral, it was the memorial service for his uncle, the same uncle that was one of the gray men in the gray suits that Harry supposedly absolutely loathed and hated. It seems to me, and of course, it's just my personal opinion, but it seems to me that Harry is trying really, really hard to reconnect with his family. So he shows up, come to find out he sat in the back of the church. People that were there said that he and William did not talk. They did not communicate at all. They left separately. There was a reception. People were talking to both of them, but the two of them did not talk. It's also being reported that Harry was a crying mess in the back of the church. I don't think he was crying because his uncle died. I think he's crying because he's sitting around looking at everything he gave up and he's realizing he made a big mistake. Harry realizes that he's not going to get back through William, that William wants nothing to do with him, and that once William is king and has all this power, William is going to take the steps against him that his father is unwilling to take. Therefore, Harry, it's being reported, is now trying to repair his relationship with King Charles before Charles passes away. So the story that's coming out now is that Harry reached out to some former trusted aides in Britain on how to mastermind a return from the United States. He's consulting people essentially from his old life when he was a working royal, and apparently he's grown dissatisfied with advice from his American-based image experts. Nothing's working. People don't like him. People don't like Meghan. What's being reported is that this is the first stage of a strategy to quote unquote rehabilitate Harry that would involve him spending more time in the UK to repair the relationship with his father and potentially initiate a partial return to the royal fold. I, for one, hope that doesn't happen, because by doing that, you're essentially giving them the half in, half out life that the Queen specifically said that they could not have. You know, one of the things that's really irritating about this entire thing is everybody's talking about ending the feud. Let's end the feud. Let's bring him back into the royal fold. He has done nothing but slam the monarchy and say horrible things about his family. 500 years from now, they're going to be repeating the things that Harry said. So what's being stated now is that the king may be open to healing the width and that he's consulted with faith leaders. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because what they're claiming is that a strategy is being made for how Harry can begin moving in UK circles again and carrying out low-key royal duties. Although they're saying that Harry is said to be open to ideas from different sources. They're saying, one person says that if Harry comes back to the UK with zero fuss, he does zero publicity, and he just goes to some mundane events, that he could prove himself and win over the British public once again. The problem is Harry would have to accept the fact that he might be reduced to like ribbon cutting for an extremely long period of time. But apparently they're reporting that he has no purpose in the United States. He's simply rambling around in his mansion all day. He's got nothing to do, but at least working for the royal family would give him a purpose. But this is only going to happen if certain members of the family allow it. Do you think William's going to allow it? Because I'm going to say no to that. You know, I find it interesting that one of the things they're talking about is that the paperback version of The Spare that's coming out, you know, that book where he trashed his family, the same family he wants to return to right now, is due out on the 24th, but he's not giving any interviews to publicize it. Why would he? And he hasn't added any new information, and that's an olive branch. No, he hasn't added any new information because he doesn't have any, because the family cut him off for that exact reason. In the middle of all this, a new poll was done by YouGov, and what they're saying is that Harry and Meghan, who we know stepped back from their royal duties in 2020, out of 12 members of the royal family, took 10th and 11th place. They polled a total of 2,021 adults. 60% had a unfavorable opinion, fairly negative or very negative of Harry, and 63% for Meghan, with Prince Andrew being the only member of the royal family to hold a lower score than that couple, with 87% expressing an unfavorable opinion. And as I've told you before, this is not going to work, because if you guys can believe this, Harry is still demanding an apology from William and Catherine, which is never going to happen. As a matter of fact, they said not only does he want an apology, he wants a groveling apology, if you can imagine that. What's being reported is that Harry wants to reconcile with William, and so his children will have some kind of relationship with William and Catherine's children and with William and Catherine, but he still thinks that William and Catherine owe Meghan an apology. I haven't figured out for what yet. He also wants his children to have a relationship with their cousins, so it's never going to happen. If anything, Meghan and Harry owe them a massive apology. Could you imagine if William and Catherine at this point sat down and gave an interview and discussed every single thing that happened and gave receipts? Could you just imagine? What Harry's biggest problem now is that his children are growing up with no grandparents except for Doria, no nieces, no nephews, no cousins, and that Lilibet and Archie will have no relationship with George, Charlotte, and Louis, which will effectively cut them out from working with the royal family ever. That's the problem. So Harry is saying, if he gets an apology from his family, then he's prepared to forgive. And I still haven't figured out forgiven by what. But with all of the criticism, it's being reported that Harry always assumed that he would be forgiven by his father. He thought that Charles would make amends for any hurt that Harry sees. You know what I think? I think William is good to be rid of him. Could you imagine growing up with this kid, and then this kid puts out all this information that he's basically been jealous of you your whole life, ready to stab you in the back? All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all notifications, and then go down into the description box after you've left your comments and find the link for video number 3. Remember, no royal family video today. Let's go.